So my freshman year of college was a friggin' nightmare for a lot of different reasons. There were some really strange things that happened at that school, but none was so strange as the occurrence that happened pretty much within the first month I was there. Long story short, it was me and a roommate, and we had been, I guess you could say, assigned to a special dorm. I don't really want to talk about how this happened. It was just a big mess. Anyway, the two of us were put in a triple. There was supposed to be 3 people in there, but it was only 2 of us. The room was actually pretty nice. It was big and bigger than the box I live in now, but it was isolated, very sectioned off. The dorms in that school were weird. The way the building was, it was almost like you were walking around in an Escher print. There were all these intertwining stairwells, and people would actually get lost because of how bizarre it was. You could go up one staircase and wind up on the opposite side of the building. It was very odd. To make matters worse, everything was made out of metal. There were all these big metal doors covered in this kind of sticky, peel-it-off paint, and the rest of it was stonework. So you had these big water pipes that went through everybody's room. Our room was right next to the staircase. So think of it like a T, where the top of the T is the hall with our room, and then there was a door in the middle where the tail of the T would be, and that led to a hallway with the bathroom and then everybody else's room. So we were pretty sectioned off from the rest of the group, and this will matter later. So I had a small circle of friends, and we would hang out in that room and stay up all night, play video games, watch movies, stupid shit like that. And every night, about between the hours of like 10 and 3 a.m., the people living above us decided that they were going to have like furniture moving contests or something, because all you would hear were people pushing like shelves and chairs. It sounded like they were rearranging the room, and it was just about every night. We'd be sitting there like watching a movie or something, and we'd hear it, like somebody pushing a bookcase across the floor. It was like, what the hell are they doing? And it didn't stop either. You'd try to go to sleep, and it would just keep going. So eventually I got fed up. I told my roommate, I said, look, I'm going up there. I'm gonna scream at these people because I want to get some sleep. So we actually both wound up going up there, and I'm banging on the door like, what the hell? Nothing. Nobody answered. They were either ignoring us or they'd left or whatever. I figured there was going to be a hall meeting, so I'd bring it up there. And in college, you have this thing called a residential assistant, if you don't know. It's basically your local hall monitor. It's kind of ridiculous, but I figured I'd tell them and let them deal with it. So we go to this hall meeting, and the RA is going on, and there's a kid who lived in one of the dorms down the other hall, and he starts going, I wanted to talk about the people making the noises in the middle of the night. And my roommate and I, we kind of exchanged looks. We're like, whoa, wait a minute. I said to him, I was like, wait a minute. Are you talking about the people who move the furniture? And he goes, yeah. I asked him, I said, what room are you in? Because we hear that too. He goes, oh, well, we're all the way down there. And this kid was literally like 7 yards down the hall. There is no possible way that he could have been hearing the same thing we were. So I'm strange about this. I looked at the RA and I said, we're hearing the same thing. I was going to bring it up, but somebody's moving furniture upstairs and we're trying to sleep. At this point, several other people in the hall, they're all claiming they hear it too. And the look that crosses the RA's face was sort of this nervous reluctance. It was almost like she didn't want to talk about it. We're all watching her, waiting for some kind of explanation. She goes, don't worry about it. I'm like, I'm going to worry about it. I want to sleep. She goes, the school doesn't really like to talk about it. There's nothing we can do, so you're just going to have to ignore it. Now, at this point, everybody in the hall was like, shut up and tell us what's going on. And her response was, oh, well, they don't rent out that hallway. There's no one up there. And this shut everybody up. We were just like, what? So apparently there was a student a while back who was being bullied, and he decided it'd be a good idea to hang himself from one of the water pipes in his room. Now, these rooms were big and the ceilings were high, so the only way you could have done that would have been if you had piled furniture on top of itself, and sure enough, that's what it sounded like. It sounded like somebody was moving furniture, getting onto it, and then you would hear shit falling all over the floor. The RA, she was done with the conversation by then, so that was the end of it, and it creeped me out. But I didn't necessarily believe it. If you've ever lived in an apartment or like a building where you have people above you, the sound it makes when they're banging around it's notable. Like you can hear it. It's like bang, bang, bang. And honestly, I did not believe that there was anything other than real people making these noises because they were too distinct. And my roommate flipped out, but I actually went back up there several times, like banging on this door, and nobody ever answered it. Nothing. Eventually, I decided to dig around, and I looked into the claim about the suicide to see if, like, maybe the RA was just making it up, but it was true. It was actually true. This did actually happen. Unfortunately, I never figured out whether or not there were people up there. I do know that I eventually wound up getting a different room in the same building, and I never heard it again. It was just that one hallway, so that was one of the more benign things that happened there. That place was wrong. I'm not a believer in a lot of this stuff, but that place made me question myself. There is some messed up shit that came out of there, so stay tuned for the next installment as I'm going to be covering more of these.